Hey everybody, Bryan here again, asking you what is your wingspan. It's a beautiful Sunday morning. Wow, 60 degrees over here at Lindenwood Nature Preserve, Fort Wayne, Indiana. A little bit of a drive for me to get here, but that's okay. I'm going to try something else today. It's familiar trails we've been to before, parks and such. So to come in here, this is a great place to go in the fall. Changing leaves. Wintertime's great. The snow makes it a very serene location to wander around in. Feeling pretty good today though. Got a little bit of the sludge in the throat. You know how it is. Change of seasons, body chemistry adjusts. And as I've gotten older, things have changed for me. I can expect roller coaster ride every seasonal change. So I've been staving it off a bit here lately, but I'm sure it's coming my way soon. So just released a video, what was it, Friday, 2 days ago. Wanted to come back out to celebrate Las Vegas on their dominating win. My goodness. You know, that entire series, really interesting. And it's sad that the national news really didn't do much with that story. Because if you look at it, I want to check out this sign here real quick. So if you think about it, if you pay attention to the league, which I hope you do, you think about months ago, you have an Aces team, middling, kind of hanging around in the race for playoff push. Minnesota comes to town, smacks them around left to right, beats them by over 50 points or so. Demoralizing loss. Leader of the team goes back and says, you know what, I'm not going to deal with that ever again. We're going to have to do better. And sure enough, they did. Spent the rest of the regular season destroying their opponents, going into the playoffs, narrowly escaping Seattle Storm, the year's most frustrating team, and then just barreling through the rest of the playoffs to hoist the trophy. To me, that's a great story. It's a story of perseverance, determination, the killer instinct, you might say. All the reason to look at Asia and company and go, you know what? You can throw out that regular season because you showed what it takes to be a champion. And as much as I personally am not a fan of that franchise, I'm very, very proud of them. I think that was a great story. And I wish that were the narrative. But look up WNBA news right now. You will see some references to that. However, it's marred by the drama. And I won't get back into that again. So I want to talk about the positives. Game 4. Now, last episode, I did make a prediction. Oh boy, hot take. Aces are going to win it out. Look, they look determined. That's the way it was. It was hard for me to give Phoenix any sort of room, especially with Sabally out. They needed her desperately. And if you watch Game 4, it was just a redo of the other 3 games, really. Aces go up early, maintain control. Fourth quarter comes around. Phoenix makes a push. It's not enough. Why? Because there's folks like Jackie Young, Chelsea Gray, and Jewel Lloyd being that little X factor in there. It makes it hard for an opponent to judge what to do. At any point, Dana Evans could come out and start running all around the place, scoring phantom points, and all of a sudden lifting the Aces to a win. But she was relatively quiet that game. It was all about Asia, Jackie, Chelsea. It's their championship. They deserve it. And I applaud them. What I will add to this, though, and this is a detail that I think may have been missed Chelsea Gray. She's been around the league for a while now. Great veteran player. Great support. Wonderful partner, you might say, to Asia Wilson. Two really strong vets working together in unison. Well, at halftime, Chelsea Gray gave an interview while walking back to the locker room with, I believe it was Holly Rowe, although they've had a few different interviewers. And the question was asked about, how do you approach the second half? You had a dominating first half. How do you approach the second half? Well, Chelsea gives a great coach-like assessment of not only the first half, but what they need to do for the second half. And I listened to her and I go, could coaching be in the future for her? I think it could be. She's a sharp player, really dependable, reliable player. Ooh, I don't know if you heard that, but I think I heard an owl back there. It's cool. That's a weird noise. Hopefully I get closer to that. And I hope you can hear that. Ooh, that's interesting. So I'm hearing birds of prey down there and an owl going berserk. I wonder if somebody got a hold of someone else's nest. That's got to be an owl. I don't know. But hey, that's the environment, right? In the middle of the woods. Talking about the WNBA. Find me another channel, so to speak, that has someone walking through the woods talking about the WNBA in a positive sense. Anyways, I'd already thought positively of Chelsea Gray, but listening to her speak, that's kind of like the icing on the cake. Last episode I talked about being a guy and watching the league and trying to separate those natural inclinations of liking a player purely because of their look or their personality or their fits, so to speak, and appreciating them as a player or as a collective of players in a collective league. With Chelsea, I had already grown a good respect for. She's one of those players that when she's on the court, I'm like, you got to watch out for her. There will be games where she is a pure support, supporting Asia, Jackie, even Jewel. And there are games where she's like, you know what? They need me to be more. I'm going to take it over. And that's shades of Minnesota. And I think I like the Aces team as it is for the same reasons. But listening to her speak eloquently, both with mind and heart, it would be easy for me to assess her as being a coach-like player, wherein, 10 years or so, she might be in Coach Becky Hammond's position. I think she has that sort of sharpness, and I appreciate that. So my congratulations to her, too, as well as the entirety of the Aces squad. They are absolutely this season's champion. What's beyond that? Well, I don't know. I think the league kind of came out with really strong emphasis on making sure we paid attention to, Caitlin Clark, Paige Beckers, and we really did. All in all, I think it was a success, but injuries just really ruined what could have been a fascinating season. I mean, poor Indiana. Virtually everybody was hurt, yet they went pretty far in the playoffs. That's a great story. Didn't quite get the national push or cross over into the general population's excitement level. But if you're a fan of the league, surely you appreciated what they were doing. Even I said Stephanie White should have been Coach of the Year. I still hold that feeling. But part of that's based upon just almost like a logical point of view. You don't have a lot of teams in the league. Most of them make the playoffs. Hey, the Valkyries made the playoffs. Pretty cool, right? Well, yeah. If you're in a league of 32, limited space, I don't think that was really the case. I think that was a charity gift. I'm at the wall over here. Watch where you're walking here. I'm at the wall of the preserve. If I'm out here, I usually walk this over to the, there's a little pond inside. Right now I'm just kind of taking random routes. See what I can find, if anything. As you can see, the leaves are definitely changing around here. It's certainly a wonderful fall day in Indiana. We call this, however, a false fall. It's about 60 degrees. It's a warm 60 because there's no wind. We tend to get really strong gusts of wind in our area. Not to the degree of like a Chicago. But when we get wind, it just drops the temperature, terribly. I'm already sensitive to the cold. I have bad circulation due to basically vein problems I've had for probably about a decade and a half now. So I don't have good circulation. As a result, therefore, I don't circulate warm blood as well as others. So that's been an issue for me. I'm just a little more sensitive to that. But this is pretty good. Normally I'd be a little worried about that.
Yeah, I think it's not worth it.
There are times this summer, it's like 70 degrees, but I'm out there wearing a hoodie because the wind is bad. I played a lot of pickleball this summer, but I decided early on that enough was enough for me. Tired of playing it. I like the group I was in. People are great. Beyond everything else, if you have a good group, that will keep your interest in the sport. However, for me, the way I approached that game, I wanted a little more. I wasn't getting it. So I've kind of decided to make this my, I don't want to say last season or my last hurrah with the sport, but I'm getting out of it. However, yesterday was interesting because I had a family reunion, but this is on my wife's side of the family. And I know pretty much everybody there. We've talked all before, so they're all familiar for me. It was at one of my wife's aunt's house. And she's got a clubhouse there in her addition that we all met up at. Brought a lot of food. My goodness, there wasn't even enough room on the tables for the food. But they had a pickleball court there. And I thought, well, some of my in-laws, I've talked with them about getting them out and being a little more active rather than just sitting around and eating all the time. So I brought a couple paddles and a ball and everything. Got to the court and started practicing serving for a while. And eventually a couple of my sisters-in-law came over and taught them how to play. And it's interesting for me because their family was not really raised with athletics in mind. To them, reading a book was a sport. Watching movies, watching science fiction or animated movies was their kind of getaway, their escape. I get that. I had a little bit of that when I was growing up, but really, I wanted to get out there and play. My dad was really good about getting out there and throwing the ball with me and playing catch. Of course, he was a hardworking guy. He was a trucker for a long time. He was always on the road. But when we had time together, he would definitely take advantage of it. I was his only son. And you know how that is with the father-son dynamic. Similar in its importance to the mother-daughter connection, but for us, it was centered around sports. We used to watch sports. And I can go all the way back to episode 1 where I talked about how my dad influenced who I liked in basketball and football. The funny thing was, it didn't always stick. Those things can die out over time. So like with any other relationship, you have to reinvent things. So when I'm out there, by myself on a pickleball court, I wait to see who comes to me. Who makes the move? Well, I had 3 people come over. Taught them the fundamentals of the game, basics. Didn't really play a game, just had them get used to holding the paddle, hitting the ball, connecting with that, working on fluidity, basic athletics. Because I know the ceiling is very, very low. You don't take someone out there and treat them like they're a private to your drill instructor approach, or drill instructor, I should say. Take it easy. Have fun with it. That's how you grow interest. And it was short-lived. Didn't play for a long time because, well, they're not conditioned for that. Not conditioned for, real athletic activity. But, in fairness, they gave it a shot, and I took what I was given. There's a little bridge right here. I think I'm on the loop that heads back towards the entrance. Although there is a little spot where there's a bench and a dock. Not a dock, but a pier, I guess. I don't know my terminology for this stuff. A wooden structure where you can stand on while looking at water. I'll just call it that. Might be down here. I'll just kind of follow this path wherever it goes. It's a beautiful day, man. There's the brownness of the leaves. Oh, I see it back there. I magnet fished here before. Not very successful. I figured, well, this is where people kind of hang around, sit, enjoy the nature. Didn't find anything other than lots of mud and sticks and stuff. Haven't been doing that much this year. There's been other things going on. I like doing these videos. I think they're, in a weird way, cathartic for me.
And then she did it enough times that I think it built up in her system.
The challenge is trying to keep this relatively quiet around others. As you can see, when the people come around, I want to avoid them as much as I can. Trail of reflection. Something else over there. So yes, I'm walking the trail of reflection. Seems fitting, right? Back to the league stuff. If I reflect on the season, I think for me as a fan, it was successful. As a Minnesota Lynx fan, disappointing. As a fan of women's sports, I think holding steady. I don't think there was a lot of great advancement for the league as it pertains to properly approaching the mainstream in a serious sense. I think there's still problems, and I really didn't want to get into all that. I even said this video I didn't want to, but it's hard to escape that. 2025 is behind us now. Our champions have been anointed, properly so, and definitely deserved. Thinking about next season, what can they do better? Well, as far as I'm aware, everyone will be at full strength next season. The injuries that have happened late going into the playoffs and here afterwards, I think those should be taken care of. Should see Courtney Vandersloot come back, and that was one of the saddest stories of the season. You know, here she is going back to the sky. Great veteran. Just won a championship with the Liberty the prior season. Bam, hurts herself out for the season. And then gets to watch her own team struggle heavily all throughout the year. And that's just with the on-court behavior. There's the lingering issues of Angel Reese and her off-court behaviors. There's the issue of coaching. I've been very vocal about how I view Tyler Marsh. Willing to give him another shot, but you got to get things under control. Getting ejected from a game as a coach, unacceptable. And I don't care who you are. You can be one of my favorite coaches in the world. If you're doing that, stop. If you expect your players to not do that, then you shouldn't either. How about that? One of the things that I do in school, and I'm talking about my job school, because I'm also in a master's program, but at school, at my job, one thing that I do often is model. That's a skill that, adults in a school will use to demonstrate without words what the students should be doing in any given situation. For example, when I leave recess to go in to take my personal lunch, I walk down the hallway that is meant for the younger grades, pre-K through second grade. When I walk through, my hands are behind my back. I have a bubble in my mouth, which just means, if you close your mouth and you blow air into your mouth, you make that bubble. That's the international sign of, hey, I'm being quiet. So I walk down the hallway on the right side, bubble in my mouth, because there's always kids out there who are using the restroom. They see me come by, and they say, oh, there's an adult doing this same thing that we're told to do. Oh, it's important. I now have placed value on that. And the teachers out there are like, oh, thank you, Mr. Bryan, for that, for showing them, demonstrating what they're supposed to be doing. And that's valuable. Because we're teaching kids not just aspects of building their knowledge in relevant things. Their handwriting, for one. For the young ones, like the ones I work with, just understanding the alphabet and the sounds, blending sounds together to make words. Beyond that, there's the being a person, being a good steward for your school. And that's what modeling does. If I tell them to do something and I don't model that myself, it's a conflict. And I would understand if a kid doesn't understand because they're being told two different things. Hey, this is important, but I'm going to do the opposite. Modeling, it matters. It's walking the walk as you're talking the talk. And that's the way I view coaching. If you're telling your players, hey, get yourself under control, take better shots, play better defense, do all these things, and then you as a coach fail to do that. Hey, get yourself under control. Hey, don't make silly mistakes. Hey, you're going to give me 100 push-ups if you get a technical in the game. and then you turn around in a game and you lose your cool, and you have to be restrained by the same people you are telling to be a little more controlled, that's stupid. Talk the talk, walk the walk. What I should do next season, if there's a season, is when I see these things happen and coaches get kicked from a game, get suspended for being stupid, I should devote an entire video to making sure I mention who that is, what they did wrong, and what they could do to be better. That will be just an ongoing challenge, I think, for next season with what I like to do. Oop. I don't know if you can see that. There's a little chipmunk right over here. I think I lost it. Yeah. It's up 5 feet away from me, staring right at me. But anyways, that's one of the things I like to do. I want to avoid the pull to have a lot of stat talk. Statistics are great. Sure, I can tell you, oh, Asia had 31 points. Great. We expect that from her. But for me, it's what it all means that is a little more valuable to me. Maybe it is for you. Because it's a small, but there's a dedicated number of people who actually care about the league and will tell you a lot about statistics. They'll get on the computer, they'll go dig in the dusty tomes to figure out, oh, this player has had 14 straight games of at least 10 points or more. Great. In a post-stat sports world, it's not terribly difficult to find these oddball records and oddball statistics that they look good on the screen. Like yesterday, I'm going to step into college football for a second. I watched that Indiana-Oregon game, rooting for Indiana. I've bought them as being an actual legitimate team this time around. Last season was a little bit of a smoke and mirrors sort of situation, but this year I buy them. Not a fan, but I'll support them because it's a good story. When you live in Indiana and you hear Indiana Hoosiers, you first think basketball. Second, you think basketball. Third, you think basketball. Way down, fourth, football. Right now, I think the football team's a little more impressive, but I'm also a Kentucky fan, so it doesn't take much for me to say something like that. But anyways, I was watching the game, and they put up an amazing stat. Never in their school history has their football team beaten an AP top 5 team. Ever. Oh, there he is. So there's a little squirrel up there making noise, looking right at me. Maple spur. I'm back to the front. So, that's weird. I wonder what that was. I was looking at there's a timer on my video and it's broken into 2 different times. I'm not sure what that is. Anyways, the stat was they hadn't beaten a top 5 AP team ever in their history, and of course they did it yesterday, convincingly so. Not sure what's up with Oregon, but they just could not get it together. But those stats, someone's spending time to dig and dig and dig to find these things, and they present it, and it's really compelling. But at the same time, it doesn't really do much for me. It's a nice little nugget of information, sure. But what am I supposed to do with it? I don't know. It doesn't really affect much because the game is being played on the field, not in the stat book. So it's really secondary to what's going on realistically. But there's people out there who spend a lot of time doing that, and they pad their content with that information. Yeah, it's fascinating, sure. It just doesn't do much for me. Because it doesn't mean anything at the end of the day. Did that team win? Did they win well? Did anybody get hurt? What does it mean going forward? Did the coach do something else that may have, influenced the team in one way or another? I don't know. But they throw the stats out there, seemingly in a, I don't know what you would call it, I'm very intellectual, I'm very smart about my sports sort of way. And there's a market for that, I get it. If you can be more of like a Stephen A. Smith or a Kirk Herbstreit sort of person who knows their stuff, they're very smart with what they know. It's definitely going to be interesting to some, but for me, a little bit of a bore. So I've taken a seat over here with my friendly little so I'm at a picnic table, but I'm reading all the all the graffiti on this. A little silly, but my wife was out over at Target yesterday, and she picked me up another little thing of Teeny Mates 2025, and there's a little Nafisa down there. I don't have one of her. This is the type that does not come with the locker. There's a rare one there. I wouldn't mind getting that. That'd be nice. But it's a metallic gold Asia Wilson, 1 in 400 packs. Talk about statistics. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rip this open and see what I get. I like the Nafisa, if possible. But really, anybody I don't have yet, I want to get. If I can even open it up. It doesn't have a tear on it, and this is like that hard plastic. Good gracious. There's a little booklet you get with it. It has all the players in it you can get. Oh, that's cool. Comes with little puzzle pieces. There you go. Oh, it's got 2 players in it. I thought it was only going to be 1. All right. First one. Well, Tina Charles with a... She's been through war, apparently. There's a hole in her back. I've already got this one. Man, that is a lazy job there. That ball has seen better days. Come on, Teeny Mates. Let's see what else I got. Well, in the plastic, got Cardosa. All right. One of the bright spots for the sky this season. Let's take a look at her. Not too bad. I don't know if you can see that. But there on her left arm, she's got a little bit of a... Might need to see a doctor for that. Not a bad pack. Yeah. They'll definitely go in my little diorama at home. But hey, thanks for joining me today. I hope you enjoy the season. I'm going to try to come back, not necessarily here, but do another video maybe tomorrow. I've got tomorrow off for fall break. I'm going to dig around and see what the national news is for the WNBA right now. I'm thinking more about the CBA. That's an issue. They need to get that under control. I'm going to see if they have any new information about that. Other than that, I have a feeling it's going to be a slow news feed. But until then, have a great remainder of your day, and I'll see you soon. Take care.